Hi everyone, my name is Diana and I am a licensed clinical therapist. So today I want to talk about a question that I get a lot, which is how I decided to become a therapist and kind of how I got here and all of that. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. So when I started out, let's backtrack even more. When I was younger, I always wanted to do humanitarian work. I always wanted to travel. I always wanted to do something cool and do something that mattered, but I didn't really know what that was. Aside from volunteering, I didn't really know what that looked like. I remember sending out for information about volunteer programs a lot, even when I was young, in middle school. I started doing that and I really wanted to do something that was involved in kind of a bigger cause. So that was sort of the path that started me out on this, I think. And then I got into college and I decided I would do journalism and broadcasting. I always loved to write, so I thought that would be a good way to travel and kind of report on stories that I wanted to report on and kind of take it from that direction. So that's what I did. I was pretty far into my broadcasting journalism major. I was doing both of them, and I was sitting there in school behind the counter, I guess, broadcasting on the local channel, the school's channel, and I was reading the teleprompter about a story that was happening, and I don't even remember the story, but it was some conflict happening in a different country, and I was talking about all the people that were there trying to help and trying to, make a difference. And it was just this moment for me where I was sitting behind this fancy table with a camera in front of me. I had all my makeup done, and I'm reading about all of these people literally in the trenches trying to help people who are in dire need of support and help, and I just had this moment what am I doing? I can't sit behind this table and talk about issues that matter and just be that removed. So that was sort of a moment for me that I was like, I can't do this. This isn't gonna work for me. I need to be there, and I need to be on the ground floor, and I need to be working directly with people. I need to know that what I'm doing is actually helping something in someone, not just reporting on what someone tells me to report on. I didn't want to be the mouthpiece, and I realized at that point that's what I was. So still, I didn't really know what that looked like, but I knew that I wanted to help people, and I wanted to help people directly. So I went out of the broadcasting room, I went to the counselor's office, and I changed my major to psychology. And I was pretty far in, almost done with my broadcasting and journalism majors. So I finished those as well and added on years of psychology. And once I got in there, I just loved it. I loved everything about it. The learning how the brain works, learning how important early development is, learning all the different abnormalities of personality and all of that kind of thing. I loved it. But as most of you know who are familiar with psychology, once you finish a bachelor's, you can't really do anything still, right? So at that point, I was working at a homeless shelter, which I loved, and I was doing a lot of cool things, but I wasn't really deep into a lot of this stuff yet. So I decided to get my master's and become a therapist. So that's what I did. I guess we'll just tell the whole story here. So I ended up going to the University of Utah for the Masters of Social Work program. And I got for my internship, I was lucky enough to get a spot with the Women's Resource Center, and I did a feminist multicultural internship, which probably changed my life. And some people have a reaction to the word feminist, right? They immediately brings up thoughts and emotions for people. But this internship was incredible. And we looked at every population and every issue and combined issues, and we studied different biases every week. We all had to bring in something that we felt like we kind of had a bias on for whatever reason, and we had to talk about it. We really looked at everything. I mean, we looked at men's issues, specifically how men were impacted by different things, which opened my eyes to so many things for so many different populations that I wasn't aware of before. We looked really deep into gender. We looked into sexuality, the different layers of sexuality. We really examined everything, and it was intense. It was really intense. And we also had to do our own work along that journey, which I think should be required for any therapy or helping profession. I think you should have to do your own work, because how can you really help someone or know what that's like if you've never been on the other side of that? And also, it just helps you work through your own stuff that could come up and could be a barrier or issues that could be triggered for you. So I think that should be required, and that was big for me, being able to do my own work, my own individual counseling, my own group counseling. And I feel like I grew so much within that. And overall, I think what that gave to me was not only a greater and bigger picture of the world and of all of these different people that I didn't understand before, didn't know anything about before. It gave me that for sure, and a desire to help and to understand and support people as they were, like see them as they were and support them. But I think also it helped me find my voice, helped me find me. It helped me connect with who I really was and what I could do and what I wanted. So I think that was a really big thing for me, and I'll probably shoot other videos because there's so much more to that. I ended up leaving a religion that I was pretty deeply entrenched in. I ended up changing everything, absolutely everything. I left my relationship at the time, I left my state, I left my country, I left everything. And I created this life that I currently have. So right now I'm sitting in Nicaragua. I'm working from here. I'm working on growing my business, and I'm living the life that I always wanted to live. So it's cool and it's exciting, but it was a long journey and a long path and a lot of great times and a lot of painful times to get here. So yeah, I'll go more into that in other videos, but this one I just wanted to kind of talk about how I got to this place that I am in now. And so now my practice is all online. I do groups, sessions, courses, all online, which is cool for me because I can travel and I can be where I want to be. I'm not stuck in one place, and I get to work with people who either, well, it falls into a couple categories. Some people don't like the traditional model of therapy and they like being able to connect with me this way. Some people move around a lot as well for work. They need someone who's a little bit more available even when they're not in that, the same city all the time. A lot of people are so busy, obviously, so it's easier to, call your therapist when your kid is at the neighbor's house or on your lunch break. I have a lot of people call me on their lunch breaks where they wouldn't really have time to go see a counselor in person, but they can reach me online. So it's cool because it opens up a whole new world for me and for them. And I get to work with people that I probably would have never had the opportunity to connect with before, which I really love. It's like the internet opens up this whole world for us, and that's just so cool to me to be able to connect with some of you and really get to know you and support you. And I never would have had that opportunity before. So I really love that. So that is how I got to this place. That's how I got to this place. I've worked in some really intense treatment centers in the past. I worked with some really cool humanitarian projects all over the world, at this point. I've worked in clinics in the States. I worked in clinics in Costa Rica and South Africa. So I've gotten a lot of experience that is so valuable, and I've got to see such powerful moments and such powerful, amazing people. And I've also got to see a lot of intense pain and trauma and both like the highs and the lows of humanity, right? Which I love being able to see the change in people. So I guess, yeah, so that's something I get asked a lot too, is like, why do you do this? Like, what does this do for you, right? Because a lot of times, especially when I was working in really intensive treatment centers and with a lot of criminally minded people and things like that, I would just hear intense stories all day and really just painful stories and really traumatic, just awful things all day. I remember one of my mentors used to say that we're sin eaters as therapists. We just take on the pain and the ugliness of the world. So that's not easy to do, obviously. That takes a toll. It's hard. But when someone asked me recently why I do this, the first thing I thought of was I love being able to see that switch in people when they start to believe in themselves, right? When they're like, I have been through all of this, and this is so painful and ugly. See, I even feel a little bit emotional talking about this because it's so cool. Like, they share this with me. They share the depths of their pain and their trauma and where they've been, and then they start to turn the corner and they start to say, hey, like, maybe I do deserve more. Maybe I am worth more. Maybe I am worthy of love. Right? Maybe I'm okay. Maybe I'm not a bad person. And to be able to see that switch in someone and see them start to be a little bit more happy with themselves it's something that's so powerful and so I just feel lucky to be able to see that, because I think that's such an intense, beautiful moment in someone's life where they can change and start to realize that they actually are worth it and beautiful, and they start to maybe love themselves a little bit, and that can start you on a journey that changes your life, right? Which happened for me too. That started me on a journey that changed my life when I started to realize, hey, like, I can actually have this life that I dreamed about. This is actually possible. I can do these things. Like, I can make this happen. So that's why I do this, for those moments that happen. Sometimes they're few and far between, but those moments that are like, hey, like, I'm okay. I can do this. And it's, it's not easy. It's not pretty. It's not linear, but there's still those moments that are really powerful. And that doesn't change everything, right? Like, once you realize that, it doesn't totally turn your life around and change everything, and it's not easy after that. But once that seed has been planted, you can continue to grow that, and you can continue to water that seed, and you can really bring that into something bigger and grow from that. So yes, that is why I became a therapist. That's why I do this. That's why I still do this. That's why I love this. So please let me know if you guys have any questions on that. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos and posting a lot more on here, so subscribe, and thank you for watching.